On this job site, there are plenty of materials that need to be moved around that require pushing, pulling, and lifting. Because the materials are most often heavy or awkward, you need to pay special attention when moving them by hand or with the help of heavy equipment such as the crane or forklift. Safe lifting starts with finding the proper location to store materials when they are dropped off at the job site. If the material needs to be moved by a forklift, you must choose a location that will give you enough room for the forklift to move around. If you are going to move it manually or by hand, make sure you can get to it without hurting your back. Make sure stored materials don't block access to or from an exit such as stairs or in front of the door. It is important to make sure that storage areas are kept organized and clean so nobody trips on materials. Make sure all storage is secured and do not exceed the maximum safe loads limit on the floors used for the storage. Keep aisles and passageways cleared to provide for free and safe movement of materials and equipment. Bagged materials should be stacked by stepping back the layers and cross-keying the bags. Do not store more materials than you are going to need on the scaffolding or runways. The bricks that we are using on this project cannot be stacked higher than 7 feet in height. Masonry blocks cannot be stacked higher than 6 feet, and lumber piles cannot exceed 20 feet mechanically or 16 feet manually. Remember that the manual lifting of heavy items is one of the leading causes of injury in the workplace, and overexertion of cumulative trauma are the biggest factors contributing to lifting injuries. The main risk factors associated with injuries in manual material handling include awkward postures, repetitive motions, forceful exertions, pressure points, and static postures. Remember, repeated or continual exposure to one or more of these factors can initially lead to fatigue and discomfort, and over time more serious injuries to your back, shoulders, wrists, or other parts of your body. But there are ways to avoid these injuries with safe lifting practices. These include always seeking for help when lifting heavier awkward loads, avoiding awkward postures such as reaching behind your back, bending forward and to the side, and twisting when pushing and pulling materials. Avoid holding items for a long period of time, even if the loads are light. This will come into play when you guys are installing fixtures. Stay aware of weather conditions because cold temperatures can cause decreased muscle flexibility, and excessively hot temperatures can cause dehydration and fatigue. When carrying material across the job site, make sure you see where you are going and take the clearest path while always paying attention to where you are going. One of the best ways to avoid injury is to know the correct technique for safe lifting. Standing close to the load with your feet spread shoulder width apart, with one foot slightly ahead of the other for balance, squatting down by bending at the knees and not your waist, tucking your chin while keeping your back as vertical as possible, getting a firm grasp of the object before beginning to lift. Slowly begin straightening your legs and do not twist your body while lifting. After the lift is complete, keep the object as close to the body as possible. When the load center of gravity moves away from the body, there is a drastic increase in stress to the back. In addition to safe lifting, planning ahead for a job can always avoid injuries. Using mechanical equipment such as dollies, hoists, or forklifts whenever possible. Also use ramps or lift gates to load equipment into trucks rather than lifting manually. I have ordered the supplies in smaller quantities so they are lighter to transport. And make sure you guys rotate tasks throughout the day so you are not exposed to the same activity for too long. All of you should be utilizing the proper hand holds, including hand slots or holes. And make sure you guys are all wearing gloves when you are carrying materials or equipment to avoid finger injuries. You guys are allowed to take breaks and break up tasks into shorter segments to allow your muscles enough time to rest. When using mechanical equipment to move or store materials, you guys need to avoid overloading equipment. Let the size, weight, and shape of material moved dictate the type of equipment used. All of our equipment has rated capacities that determine the maximum weight the equipment can safely handle and the conditions in which it can handle that weight. I am only allowing the operators with proper training qualifications to operate the equipment. Another fact is that most injuries that happen as a result of material handling can be prevented by what I just went over. Using good practices and staying aware of potential dangers will keep this job site safe and injury free.